President Jacob Zuma has called on South Africans to unite and work together to build the country, regardless of political affiliations. Marking the third anniversary of former President Nelson Mandela's death, he says South Africans should follow the values of love and respect that Madiba stood for.
Madiba, as you know, was an extraordinary leader. Of course, the African National Congress has produced many extraordinary leaders. He was one of them in many ways. We remember that on this day, we woke up on the sad news about Madiba. And indeed, it looked like the world had come to a standstill, because here was a giant that had been with us. He had seen generations of the struggle. But what was important with Madiba is that he had been one of the most consistent freedom fighter. His approach to things, his bravery, his thinking, made him to emerge at the early age, firstly as a lawyer, and secondly as a youth leaguer, as an ANC, as volunteer number one during the volunteer year when the ANC organized volunteers to defy the unjust laws of this country, precisely because of his bravery and his calculation and his everything. He was appointed as the volunteer-in-chief, which followed the trust within the ANC leadership that he would be able to lead that campaign, and he did. And he has always been able to see ahead and to open the path and to have an objective to achieve. And you'll recall that he was among those when the non-violent policies were not necessarily taking us any further. He was one of those who agitated for the armed struggle. And precisely because of his nature, when the organization took the decision that we must now embark on the armed struggle, he was once again appointed or elected as the first commander-in-chief of Umkhonto weSizwe, and he was given this very difficult task. And indeed, as you know, he became the first president of this country and really brought the country that had had such political violence, began to put it together, and indeed violence ended and South Africa became a democratic state, and he was the first. So Madiba is a unique person. And I would think that as South Africans, given the challenges that we are faced with, if only we could remember Madiba and all come down to the level where all of us can agree on a number of things rather than to disagree a lot. Because Madiba wanted South Africa united, wanted South Africa to succeed. And indeed, this is what we should remember about Madiba. Madiba was indeed a father of our nation. Madiba was indeed a commander-in-chief. He was volunteer number one. And Madiba did many things as an individual that influenced the flow of our struggle or of our government. So we remember Madiba today by really just recounting few of the things that he did. Highly respected, very clear, principled, loved the ANC. His famous utterance to say, when I go to heaven, first thing I'll look for is the branch of the ANC. That was expressing the deep commitment and love of his organization. So we remember him today. We think about him. And I think that should inspire us to do more good for our country. Madiba, from fighting, Madiba and the ANC fought to liberate South Africa and create a democratic state. And in that democratic state, you wanted a united country. And this is what he fought for. It is part of what he was saying. He believes in the ideal of a country, a democratic and non-racial country, a country where opportunities would be equal to all. Once we went through the struggle and South Africa had solved its problems, one of the points that looked at unity of our people, nation building, was that, and he was doing this with the collective, was that we cannot look back and try to revenge to what has been done to us. As you know, that apartheid was very brutal. We said, no, that cannot happen. We need to say, let the bygones be bygones. Let us move forward. But it's important to know the truth.
South Africa has